Hey, Jenny Hale here. We were having a pretty important discussion the other day just in a social media group, and it really highlighted for me something that I don't think a lot of people understand. So we were talking about relationships and what undermines relationships, and somebody made the point that they had recently discovered, despite having been like an NLP practitioner for years and spending decades working with other people, they'd only recently discovered that they themselves had a very deep underlying subconscious belief from their childhood that they would never get the things that they wanted in their life. And, we had a bit of a chat back and forth. And I realized that actually this is something that probably a lot of people have and don't realize they have, because we as a culture, since Dr. Spock in the 1950s, have actually been training our babies to have this sort of learned helplessness, to believe that there's no point making a fuss or trying to get your needs met because nobody is coming. And the way we've been doing this, of course, is the whole let the baby cry it out, let them learn to self-soothe, do the sleep training. When your baby is very small, they don't have the capacity to calm themselves. They don't have the capacity to manage their own emotions. They need an adult to do that for them. So if you leave a distraught baby crying, it will eventually get exhausted and it will eventually fall asleep, but not because it has soothed itself. The baby is not soothed. The baby is unsoothed. The baby is learning to fall asleep whilst highly distressed. It's learning to fall asleep out of exhaustion, full of adrenaline. So what the baby actually learns at a deep subconscious level is nobody is coming. There is no help. My needs will not be met. And that underlying belief, that underlying experience that the universe just doesn't show up and doesn't meet your needs, then is in the background whenever you set a goal, whenever you try to accomplish something. And there are people who are hugely accomplished in life. They've done lots of things. They've worked really hard. And the whole time they're working, they have this sense of emptiness, like it's all pointless. I'm working really hard. I'm never going to get my needs met. I'm never going to be fulfilled. I'm never going to get what I want out of life, but I can't stop working because if I do, something's going to get me, I'm going to die. So they keep working in a workaholic kind of way. And they do tick off all of these material accomplishments, but they never get the satisfaction, partly because they're not going for the things that they authentically want. Workaholics usually don't. And partly because this underlying belief, even when they do get something that they want, this underlying belief is it's not really real or it's going to go away. I'll lose it anyway. So I realized that it's probably something that most of us who are adults at the moment experienced in our early childhood. Most of our parents were influenced by this school of child rearing that said you need to let the baby cry until it falls asleep and it will eventually learn not to cry. It learns not to cry, but it learns not to cry because there's no point. And then you've got somebody who's going through life believing there's no point at a fundamental, foundational level of their psyche, believing there is no point. So most of us, I certainly had to deal with this, and a lot of my clients have had to deal with this. So I'm putting this out there for anyone else who may not have really thought about this, but if your parents were of this school of child rearing, you probably have some work to do at the level of actually believing that the universe will pay off and meet your needs and give you what you want, be abundant for you. So anybody who's out there preaching, abundance philosophy without an understanding of this kind of childhood trauma is probably gaslighting people. So if abundance is your bag and you're into manifestation and mindset coaching and all that kind of stuff, you really need to understand how this subtle childhood trauma shows up for people so that you can get your clients out of it. Not pressing it down and soldiering on over the top of it, but actually resolving it, releasing it, and having it not run their lives anymore. So if that's of interest to you, either for yourself or because of the kind of clients you're working with, I recommend you join our Trauma Masterclass and get everything that you need to make this a reality for yourself and for the people you care about.